are going to discuss the topic evaluating ethical frameworks. Utilitarianism is an ethical theory that focuses on the consequences of actions. Its guiding principle is the greatest happiness principle, which means an action is morally right if it produces the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Utilitarianism is a consequence-based ethical theory. It says that the morality of an action depends on its outcome, specifically whether it leads to the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. This idea is called the greatest happiness principle. In short, an action is right if it produces more overall good or happiness than harm. Strengths of utilitarianism. It is practical and useful in decision-making, especially in public policy and healthcare, because it looks at the outcomes that will benefit the majority. The greatest good for the greatest number is the main idea of utilitarianism. Its strength lies in being practical. It focuses on real outcomes and the overall happiness or benefit that a decision will produce. Weaknesses of utilitarianism. It can sometimes ignore individual rights since it allows harming a few people. It benefits the majority. This can lead to unfair or unjust results. Deontological ethics, also known as duty-based ethics, was popularized by Immanuel Kant. It emphasizes following moral rules, duties regardless of the consequences. Actions are judged as right or wrong in themselves, not by their result. Strengths of deontological ethics. It respects individual rights, human dignity, and fairness, and it provides clear guidelines for moral behavior. Weaknesses of deontological ethics. It is too rigid because following strict rules can sometimes lead to harmful consequences. It does not allow flexibility when situations are complex. Scenario: a private school is deciding whether to admit a child with special needs. Admitting the child might require curriculum adjustments and more staff training. Deontological approach. The school claims to serve all children. It has a moral obligation not to discriminate, regardless of extra effort or cost.
Virtue ethics. Virtue ethics, rooted in Aristotle's philosophy, focuses on a person's character rather than specific actions or rules. It asks, what kind of person should I be? Rather than, what should I do? The goal is to cultivate virtues like honesty, courage, justice, and compassion. Strengths of virtue ethics. It encourages moral growth, long-term character development, and focuses on being a good person rather than just following rules. Virtue ethics encourages you to grow as a person over time. It's about developing strong character traits and becoming someone who naturally does the right thing. Weaknesses of virtue ethics. It can be vague because it does not always give clear answers for specific moral dilemmas. Different people may also disagree on what the virtuous action is. Example: a teacher challenges a colleague's dismissive attitude toward a student with autism. Virtue being practiced. Courage and justice. Standing up for what is right, even if it's uncomfortable. The teacher values fairness and respects the dignity of all students. Natural ethics. Natural ethics, or natural law theory, is based on the idea that morality is grounded in human nature and purpose. Rooted in the philosophy of Aristotle and later developed by Thomas Aquinas, It suggests that actions are right if they align with natural purposes such as life, family, truth, and order. Strengths of natural ethics. It provides universal moral standards that apply to all humans regardless of culture. It also emphasizes human dignity and the preservation of life. Weaknesses of natural ethics. It assumes all people share the same natural goals, which may conflict with modern values like personal freedom. It can also be difficult to apply in complex modern issues. Compare and contrast the implications of ethical framework. Utilitarianism bases morality on outcomes. It looks at which action will maximize happiness and minimize suffering. Its implication is that sometimes individual rights can be sacrificed if it benefits the majority. Deontology bases on morality on duty and rules. Its implication is that people must respect rules and human rights even if outcomes seem less beneficial. Virtue ethics focuses on moral character. Its implication is that society should promote virtues like courage, honesty, and compassion rather than only focusing on rules or consequences. Natural ethics bases morality on human nature and purpose. Its implication is that moral laws are universal and should guide both individuals and societies toward preserving life, truth, and natural order.
Impact of ethical frameworks on individual and societal decision making. On individuals, these frameworks guide personal decision making and help people decide what is right or wrong in daily life. Scenario: you are a special education teacher with limited time after school. You have to decide whether to spend time helping one student who is struggling a lot or lead a homework club that helps several students with smaller needs. In ethical framework approach, when deciding how to spend your limited time, utilitarianism suggests helping the most students through a homework club, while deontology say it's your duty to support the student who needs the most. Virtue ethics focuses on showing care and patience by helping that struggling student personally, while natural law ethics emphasize respecting every student's right to grow. So you prioritize one-on-one support. On society, laws, policies, and social expectations are often influenced by these frameworks. Scenario: a city is deciding whether to build a new special education center for students with severe disabilities or invest in expanding inclusive programs in mainstream schools that benefits many students with mild to moderate needs. Ethical frameworks approach: the city must choose between expanding inclusive programs or building a special education center. Utilitarianism supports expanding programs to help more students overall, while deontology and virtue ethics both emphasize the moral duty and compassion to support the most vulnerable by building the special center. Natural law ethics focuses on respecting every student's right to grow, also favoring the special education center. Evaluate real-life ethical cases through different ethical frameworks. Case 1. A school is debating whether to place a student with moderate autism in a mainstream classroom with support or send them to a specialized classroom for students with disabilities. Utilitarianism: placing the student in the mainstream classroom might benefit more students by promoting social integration and acceptance, increasing overall happiness. Deontology. The school must respect the student's right to the most appropriate education, which might mean specialized classroom if that best meet their needs, regarding on social consideration. Virtue ethics. A compassionate teacher will consider what is kindness and most just for student, possibly supporting inclusive but ensuring proper support are in place. Natural law ethics. The decision should honor the student's dignity and natural right to develop fully, choosing the setting that best supports their flourishing. Case 3. A student with severe speech impairment is recommended to use an expensive communication device. The school has limited funds and must decide whether to provide this service to one student or to purchase basic learning materials for multiple students. Utilitarianism. The school may choose to buy basic materials that benefit many students even if it means the one student won't get the communication device. Deontology. The school has a duty to ensure every student's right to effective communication, so they should provide the service regardless of cost. Virtue ethics. A caring and fair educator would advocate for the student's individual needs, supporting the purchase of device to empower the student's voice. While natural law ethics, every student has a natural right to express themselves and grow, so the device should be provided to respect and support this right.
Reflect on the role ethical frameworks in shaping human behavior and societal norms. Ethical frameworks shape decisions in special needs education by guiding how individuals and society act. For example, when choosing between inclusive or separate classrooms, utilitarianism supports helping the most students. Deontology focuses on individual rights and duties. Virtue ethics emphasizes compassion and care, and natural law ethics highlights respect for each student's dignity. Together, these frameworks influence fair and respectful education policies and practices for students with disabilities. Develop critical thinking skills to assess the applicability of ethical frameworks in various contexts. Understand each framework deeply. Learn the core principles of major ethical frameworks: utilitarianisms, deontology, virtue ethics, natural law, so you know their strengths, limitations, and focuses. Analyze the context. Look closely at the specific situations. Consider stakeholders, cultural values, resources, and possible consequences. Next, we have identify conflicts and priorities. Recognize where frameworks may agree or clash. For example, thus maximizing good conflict with respecting individual rights. Ask critical questions. Think carefully about the situation by asking questions like, who benefits and who might be harmed? What duties or rights are involved? What virtues should guide actions here? How does this respect human dignity and natural rights? Evaluate practical outcomes. Consider the real-world impact of applying each framework. Thus, one approach lead to fairer, kinder, or more sustainable solutions. Reflect on personal and societal values. Think about how your own values and the broader societal norms influence which framework feels most appropriate. Apply and reassess. Practice applying frameworks to diverse scenarios, then reflect on which frameworks fit best and why, adapting your understanding as needed. Thank you.